Welcome aboard the news review segment on the AM show. And right before we get into the newspapers, let's introduce our guest to you. Joining us this morning, a Wednesday morning, is Dr. Kwame Asasante, the head for European Studies at the University of Ghana. He hasn't joined us. He will join us in a bit. But Benjamin, if I was to give you 2 minutes, what would be your take on national issues? What's happening that is boggling your mind that you want to express yourself on? I'll give you 2 minutes to do that.
I like how you're making me your in-house guest this morning. Let me start by commending your matching of colors this morning.
Thank you.
The necklace looks lavender to me, and then your orange and the pearly white ring and everything in the outfit, and then your coiffure. When the French say coiffure, you know what they are referring to.
A wema.
So how you fixed your hairdo. 2 minutes, huh?
2 minutes, yeah.
There are a number of issues. One of those trending bits has to do with, and may her soul rest in peace, Ipiadonko, and her very sad passing. I mean, the last thing I remember of her was her flagellation of the NDC, tongue lashing, which I felt was not the forum, but
yeah,
that's what's stuck in my head till now. She added spice to our democratic practice, though if you asked me certain questions about what she had been saying and how it could have transformed the lives of Ghanaians, I wouldn't know whether I would have been so impressed. But I feel she added color to our democracy. She made the point that different kinds of people ought to be allowed to get in, express their sentiments, express their thoughts, participate in the political process and all of that. So we mourn with that party. We know the EC has come out to say that it has ceased the printing of, ballot papers, ballot sheets and all of that on the back of this, and that the GFP should get a new candidate to step in. I think Roman Fada or something like that is the running mate, or someone like that. And no disrespect by saying someone like that. It's just that I'm trying to get the name right. So if I'm wrong, and we'll see. Some were forecasting that the numbers would change and that a certain Chairman Wood to me had said this, and I mean none of that I believe is going to happen. The tussle also between Parliament and the Supreme Court also continues. And for me, I'm not sitting on any side, or I just hope that this will lead to better straightening of the laws on these matters, so that we are clear moving forward. If X happens, Y is the result in future parliaments and in future interactions between the judiciary and the legislature and the judiciary. Quick thoughts this morning.
Well, thank you so much, Benjamin. I just to add, a bit to that. It may come across as it's a tumultuous time for us, for our democracy, but this is how we learn. This is how we evolve. This is how we solidify the very foundation of what we are practicing in terms of separation of power. So the argument, the back and forth, is good and healthy for us. Let's bring in Dr. Kwame Asasante now. He joins us via Zoom. Doc, thank you so much for joining us this Wednesday morning. What will be your 2 minutes take? Doc, if you're with us, please unmute. Okay, well, we can hear you.
Yes. I want to look at something briefly, and it's about a certain phenomenon that is rearing its ugly head in our political system, and it's not good enough. What am I looking at? I'm looking at recently you've seen chiefs endorsing political candidates. Clear. And that conversation is further, supported by political parties, where they put these statements or these individuals, feature them on their Facebook walls and then the internet. All right. It's a worrying situation because If you look at that from the perspective of the ruling recently given by the Supreme Court, that no chief in this country is allowed to be part of partisan politics. The best that the chief can do is to endorse a policy of what? A political party or a leader, but not to endorse the candidate or the candidature. This is what we are seeing now. And I am worried because as a watcher of the democratic space, we know that democracy hinges on rule of law. And anything that comes from the court is nothing but the law of the land, which must be obeyed and enforced. Some of these chiefs, I'm not saying all the chiefs, some of these chiefs have started endorsing political candidates, telling us all manner of things about them, that they endorse them and all that. It is totally wrong. Those chiefs, with all due respect, who are engaged in that, they should desist from that, because the Supreme Court ruling is clear. And any other thing that is done towards this end is nothing but what? Undermining that ruling. If anybody is to undermine any rule in this country, our chiefs shouldn't be our chiefs.
Okay.
And it shouldn't be them, because they are epitome of everything that we have in this country. They shouldn't go on that trajectory. What is also more is that you see political parties putting these statements on their Facebook wall to attract, attention and all that. In effect, they are endorsing this crime. And a party that is guilty of this is the MPP. I've seen it on their Facebook wall, and a number of them have downloaded them to see and interrogate the issue. It's not the best practice. Okay. We don't want the party to do that, because the party in government that must enforce the rules of the Supreme Court. We don't want our cause to be attacked, and their rules should not be disrespected. This is my message for all those political actors who are guilty of this. They should shy away from this.
If I may, Sweetie Aboji, I don't know whether I agree the political parties should be more responsible. But can we blame them? Can we? I blame the chiefs. I've always said this, even if the Constitution, even if there were nothing preventing chiefs from openly participating in partisan politics, so to speak. My point is, chiefs should behave like any serious business people. If you're a serious business person, whether it's Democrat or Republic, NPP or NDC, you should have a way of staying in the middle. You do get to vote. When you are in that booth, express your opinion. And after that, be neutral. I'm seeing too many chiefs. And some people will say, we media people also vote. But some of you may think, and it's interesting because if I take you back, then you would have said, I was on this side and now I'm on the other side. We're okay being in this position. But I'm saying common sense dictates that you don't have to do this. And there's experience. When the president said, you people, I appointed a deputy minister and your MP, and you voted him out. So I am not developing that area. I mean, it may not necessarily be what has happened and a few things, but then you set yourself up for enmity. Okay. So they compile. This chief, you said that this person was better. And now the person has lost. I am now president. I'll show you something. And they compile a list and your areas are affected. How does that make any sense? Stay neutral. Receive everybody who comes. Everyone who comes, be nice to the person. God be with you and whatever. And dispatch them. Whatever conversations you may have away from the public eye is up to you. And how you vote is up to you. But don't say that in the public eye. You are not supposed to. But they will not listen. So let them face the consequences.
Well, thank you both for those thoughts, leaving us with something to think about. Let's get straight into the newspapers. I want to start with the Ghanaian Times. On the front page, Mahama calls for truce in Bawku conflict. Renewed chieftaincy dispute, the same issues. Stop politicizing Bawku conflict, says the former Member of Parliament, Asamin admonishes. And that's the chieftaincy minister. Bawku under curfew following deadly chieftaincy clashes. And Ghana's vigilante groups increased from 27 to 72. That's serious. Let me start from there. And that story is on page 12 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. And it reads, I'll get to it in a bit, from 27 to 72 in how many years? I'm curious to know. So the number of vigilante groups operating in the country has increased from 27 to about 72 as captured under the Vigilantism and Related Offences Act 2019. A security analyst, Dr. Adam Bona, has indicated, according to him, most of these groups were no longer operating as vigilante groups as they had changed to become registered private security agencies, while some serve as escorts for political parties, which made it difficult to identify them. And Dr. Bona has therefore called on the Minister for National Security, Mr. Albert Kandapa, to investigate the operations and ensure that leaders of these groups were arrested and prosecuted. Doc, I want to pick your thoughts on this quickly before I move on to other stories. Should we be concerned about this?
Exactly so. Exactly so. You and I are alive to the fact that this country has been struggling against these ugly institutions that we in recent time we found in our political space. So in the wisdom of the leaders of this country, a law was crafted, a bill was crafted, passed into law, and today we have a law against vigilantism.
Yeah.
So it's surprising to me that they still exist. And the state apparatus, I'm talking about the coercive apparatus, have not, grabbed them. It's worrying because these are evil men and women in our society that we need to root them out of our society. Their activities are so nefarious and so known to everybody that we don't want to encourage them 1 inch. So I think that the IGP will take political notice of them, and then they deal with them head on. Because, look, the activities of these vigilantes is very, very dangerous. More so when you are talking about the fact that they've changed their modus operandi. That is more interesting. Yeah. We need to nip this phenomenon in the bud. Okay.
Let me do some other stories now. Benjamin, you want to reflect on the security issue?
Oh, no. My interest is how it's basically a reversal of the numbers, 27 to 72.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out from when, but I think the story doesn't detail. However, the 27 was captured under the Vigilantism and Related Offences Act. So I'm sure that is between 2019 and now 2024 that Dr. Adam Bona is...
I mean, there are two sides to this coin. One, the fact that indeed, for example, galamseyers, you want them to stop, right? But they must move on to something. So you must create employment opportunities for them. So you would say that people who are dabbled in land guardism and these things should go through some reformatory process, and then they would end up somewhere. But the question too is, those who have committed crime, what happens to them? They can't just move on. So such people should be dealt with as far as the law is concerned. So I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Especially ahead of election 2024, this is serious. But let's do some other stories. So on the renewed chieftaincy dispute, Asamin is admonishing politicians to stop politicizing the Bawku conflict. And let me get into this. The Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Mr. Stephen Asamoah-Boateng, yesterday cautioned politicians and Ghanaians in general to refrain from politicizing the ongoing conflict in Bawku in the Upper East region. And he emphasized that exploiting the conflict for political gains would only lead to further bloodshed of the innocent rather than resolving the issue. And when I think about this and read all the articles and news stories that have come out from this Bawku issue from, I think I went as far back as 2019 or so, issues that are just coming out from Bawku.
I mean, this goes way back.
Well, the things that I'm reading, reading up and catching up. Benjamin, you can tell that there are people who are sponsoring this, This is beneficial to someone. The fact
that both sides are so heavily armed.
Yeah, where are they getting the money to import all these arms into the country? And who is really spearheading all of this? We can't say that our security agencies are not, they're not equipped to investigate and identify who is really responsible and, bringing all these arms into the country.
And the thing is this, whether smuggling or whatever, recently the Reuters report, I mean, some security analysts have listened to Emmanuel Bombande, among others, say that it is excessive. It doesn't reflect the true picture. But Professor Enning has said over time, we have all the ingredients here. You have gold, and up north, there's a lot of gold. Some people don't know that.
Yeah.
And we're just hoping that there will not be too much galamsey in such areas. But you have this resource, right? You are also close to countries that have coups or have terrorist, insurgency going on. You also have some sparsely populated areas, and then you have conflicts. It's a cocktail, a recipe for disaster. And I think sometimes we sit down south and act like, oh, it is up north. It's like when my family was in Nigeria. If it happens up north, it will trickle down south. That's the problem. But we are pussyfooting with this thing and acting like, oh, it is their problem. It is our problem. Doc.
And now admonishing us, politicians and general public, not to politicize it, I don't think it's the right call. We should actually be looking to the people responsible for this. Dr. Kwame Asasat, what do you make of this?
Yeah, very unfortunate situation. Unfortunate in the sense that the good people of this area have not known peace for a very long time. And the problem lingers on. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. My worry is that, look, this is affecting lives, economic activities, and the rest of them. You can live a meaningful life when you are in that area. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't be like this. You were wondering who are those selling these things. We have merchants of menace in this regard. They are those, yes, who deal with this, get cash in on this, and then undermine the security architecture of this country. All of us must support the security agencies to root them out and then ensure that we have lasting peace. And then state must also stay away from, chieftaincy issues. If you look at over the years, political actors, and when I'm saying the state, I'm talking about the political actors, they fuel these problems, and this is where we are. It's unfortunate. The people of Bawku deserve peace. Please, let us support that cause.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
I love the way, though, exactly.
Yeah.
Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice said, Merchants of Menace. I think, Doc, with your permission, I'm going to pilfer that. I'm going to steal it. I think it will appear in the title of one of my blunt thoughts soon.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
We all give thanks to Shakespeare. Yes.
I heard MFA who say, call them warpreneurs and merchants of menace. But Benjamin, let's do your paper now.
Well, the Daily Graphic is where I'm going to go. 447,698 students placed into senior high schools and other institutions. Overturn your ruling, Speaker asks Supreme Court. Government PSWU signed 3 conditions of service agreements. Then the banner headline, government urges ceasefire in Bawku, imposes curfew, deploys security. We've spoken about it. Then UTAG calls off strike over galamsey, and CBG presents 30 computers to 3 schools in Agona. Let me start from the back page. The University Teachers Association of Ghana has suspended the strike it embarked on due to the increasing nature of illegal mining and the association's desire for the government to put measures in place to curb the menace. It said the decision to suspend the industrial action was in line with a widespread and democratic vote by UTAG members nationwide. I think I saw a vote recently by UTAG Legon that was for the strike to continue, but I guess the overarching body across the country. It said, UTAG stated that the current circumstances in the country, as well as the interest of students, their parents and guardians, had made it necessary to explore alternative legal avenues to address the critical issue. And it also says, quoting, suspending the strike was not an easy decision, as we recognize the importance of the cause we are advocating. We understand that this may disappoint some members of the public, and we do not take their confidence in us lightly, a statement said. I think UTAG, at least, has shown face and done better than the rest of organized labor, who it was a lot of huffing and puffing without action. CBG presents 30 computers to 3 schools in Agona, and the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited has donated 30 desktop computers to 3 junior high schools at Agona in the Efija Setre South District in the Ashanti region to equip the students with essential information and technology skills to bridge the digital gap. I think I'll do one more on education before I get on to the other stories. So page 13 then is where I will go. A total of 447,698 qualified basic education certificate examination candidates have been automatically placed in senior high schools and technical institutes of their choices under the computerized school selection and placement system. The figure forms 80.93% of the overall number that sat the examination this year. However, a statement from the Ministry of Education said 104,918 qualified students could not be matched to any of their choices, with 73,390 of those who could not be matched with any of their choices, representing 13.28% of qualified candidates placed in schools similar to those they selected. The statement said the total number of students placed in schools was 521,088, representing 94.20% of qualified candidates. Any thoughts on these before I go to the final batch of stories I'll do, Doc?
Yes, I think I will also commend UTAG for at least showing face in this program. I am also happy in the sense that they are saying that they are looking at other avenues to deal with this issue head on. It means that the aluta continues, even though we have resumed work and all that.
Yeah.
That tells you that this problem is very dear to the hearts of teachers at the university. So I expect the state to set up and let it work. That cosmetic thing we are seeing in the fight against, illegal mining must cease. Because now we are going to shine our eyes and see whether the renewed fight is anything that we can trust. The issue of the CBG donating computers to school, great news. We want to equip our students with all the necessary materials and equipment that they need in doing their work so that they can be abreast with what the changing circumstances of the world. We love that. But I'll ask CBG that they should also turn their attention to the Eugene, the Vice Chancellor's program of one student, one computer. Yes, we also need support so that we can support our students at the universities. It's good. BEC resource, and then the placement of students in various schools. It's a good program, but every time it is fraught with challenges and all that. But of course, challenges are building blocks of every development. I expect the ministry to be able to rise up to the occasion and deal with this problem so that parents can breathe a sigh of relief.
All right. Very quickly, I'm going to end here. I'll not do the Bawku story because we've already got into that. So, overturn your ruling, Speaker asks Supreme Court. And the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin, has filed an application asking the Supreme Court to overturn the stay of execution it granted in respect of the Speaker's ruling that declared 4 seats in Parliament vacant. The Speaker is further seeking an order from the court to set aside the writ filed by the leader of the MPP caucus, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, which sought to prevent the Speaker from making any ruling on the 4 seats. In the application filed at the Apex Court last Monday by his lawyer, Thaddeus Sori, the Speaker contends that the Supreme Court misapplied the law by putting on hold the execution of his ruling because it was a non-judicial decision. And the very final one I'm looking at, government PSWU signed 3 conditions of service agreements. The government has signed 3 comprehensive agreements with 3 workers' associations to improve their conditions of service. The 3 are the Public Services Workers Union, chapters of the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association, the National Commission for Civic Education, and the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. The pact signed separately with the 3 associations to improve working conditions and address long-standing concerns were sealed at negotiation meetings held last Friday, that is October the 25th, 2024. Those are the final stories, final batch of stories. Quick reflections, Doc? If not,
I'll look at the Speaker's story. That now all the political actors in this problem, they are in court. That's appropriate forum. So I hope and pray that we'll get finality to this issue so that all the institutions can work and work very well. So I pray that we'll get judgment in no time so that all of us will have peace, because when Parliament have any problem, then it's a problem for the whole state. And I trust the Supreme Court. They will do just that and give us judgment that will stand the test of time. They have done that before, and I know continue to do a good job. So we are waiting for our judges, and we'll listen with rapt attention.
All right.
Let's continue with the Custodian newspaper. On the front page, over 53,000 students get 2024-2025 free SHS placement. UTAG suspends Galamsey strike. NPP mourns Ekuadonko's death. Bawumia is the best to secure Ghana's progress, according to NAPO, and Kid Ghana, second ranked in telecom sector. We've got into a number of these stories, so let me quickly just run through the entire paper. NPP mourns Ekuadonko's death. Bawumia is best to secure Ghana's progress, says NAPO. Speaker Bagbin chairs the Conference of Speakers and Presidents of African Legislatures, that's COSPAL. Let me just get into this a bit. Mr. Bagbin was re-elected during the Second General Assembly of COSPAL in Accra. Other officers who were also elected include Mr. Ibidabo Olufemi as COSPAL Secretary General, Madam Anita Annette, the Speaker of Uganda Parliament, as Vice Chairperson, and 4 regional COSPAL Vice Chairpersons. And the election of Speaker Bagbin, who is Ghana's longest-serving legislator, is a testament to his strong leadership skills. And in his opening remarks, the Speaker urged African legislators to take an active role in advocating the continent's development agenda. The story of the Chieftaincy Minister advocating to stop politicizing Bawku conflict is also here. Kid Ghana ranked second in terms of telco. In the telco sector, NAPO pledges NPP support for small-scale miners. Government TBills auction oversubscribed. Really? The government oversubscribed about 11% of its treasury bill sales for the 3rd consecutive week. However, it came at the expense of rising interest rates. According to data from the Bank of Ghana, the government got 4.42 billion Ghana cedis from the auction of the short-term instrument as against a target of 3.98 billion Ghana cedis. Interesting. So the government accepted all the bids tendered for the auction by investors, and about 72% of the bids came from the 91-day bill, and a total of 3.18 billion Ghana cedis was offered for 3 months bill. I'll come to you, Doc, for your reflection on that in a bit. Let me just complete the stories here from the Custodian. Why I don't miss my pusher character, Jetianan details. Emerging music group No Nation Gang vow to challenge music industry norms to grow their craft. I wish them the very best. South Africa government split over Ukraine visa deal. And senior Malawi
that one is causing problems, the ANC and the DA.
Yep. Senior Malawi politician accused of plotting to kill president. I think this is interesting. A leading member of Malawi's opposition has been charged with plotting to kill the country's president, Lazarus Chakwera. Now, Patricia Kalaiti, Secretary General of UTM Party, was arrested last week on suspicion of, quote, conspiring with others to commit a serious offense, unquote, appearing on Monday at a court in Malawi's capital. Lingwe, the 57-year-old, did not speak, but her lawyer argued that the politician maintained her innocence, local media reports. And on the back page, or the final page here, Dr. Joyce Esther Dazi urges SMEs to adopt customer-centric culture for growth. And there's an editorial here, Beyond the Ordinary. Grab a copy of the Custodian newspaper and get into this. Doc, your take.
Yeah, I will look at the TBills and the fact that people have begun to show interest in them. It's good. It tells you that, yes, if you put things in the right perspective, people will always subscribe to these things. That there is also a caution for us that going forward, we need to be very careful the way we manage these financial instruments so that we can always have confidence in the public, because government cannot survive if we don't have the public subscribing to some of these things, and then government also deriving money to run the affairs of the state. But they must make sure that what they do is nothing but what prudent measures they apply them so that people will still have confidence in the system. I think that is the way to go.
Okay, thank you so much. Final papers?
Well, final batch, the Daily Searchlight. We are creating an environment for the training of 21st century graduates. That's according to Dr. Educhum, the Education Minister. NPA boss named Public Sector Personality of the Year at the Ghana Business Awards. UPSA celebrates 16th congregation as Professor Abednego F.O. Amate ends his term in office. Carnage in Bawku, more than 20 lives lost. It's a question, but I've heard, I believe, the Chieftaincy Minister mentioned 16. Another Alan Chermating, Greater Accra Afro-Franto mega victory walk on November the 2nd. Yesterday, we know that the Vice President was also in Accra, making the rounds, going to some markets and other places, meeting people and interacting with them. Then the Accra Times, vote for Mahama and NDC. Alhaj Musa Bari says so. He is General Secretary of the Fulbe or Fulanis in Ghana. Then ignorance and poverty are bane. You remember what we were saying about chieftaincy and all of that? Well, I don't know. Ignorance and poverty are bane. Speaker Bagbin reminds African leaders. Ayensuano, MP, Educational Fund supports 40 students to go back to school. And facelift for Parliament as Speaker Bagbin commends ADK Consortium. It's a stack of stories. Alan Chermating is in there. He's hitting Accra on November the 2nd. There's the bit about ignorance and poverty are bane. There's vote for Mahama. That's according to Alhaji Bari, who is a Fulbe General Secretary. Jospon Group on top in Uganda. You may have read that story where they've got that major contract with Yoweri Museveni's Uganda and more stories. Any quick reflections on these, Doc?
I think I'll look at ignorance and poverty are bane. He has hit the nail right on the head. Ignorance, a lot of ignorance in the system. We need to up our game from academic institutions, from all the social institutions, political institutions. We need to be able to bring our people up to the scratch so that they will be able to participate effectively in the system that we find ourselves. Issue of poverty is an old problem, and the state must continue to fight it and fight it on. Because when you have poverty, it undermines every effort that you put in. So government must make it a priority to deal with it head on.
Well, that should be a wrap. The Ghanaian publisher, just the headlines here, Baumia confident of victory, pledges monthly stipend for chiefs, ADB records 3.4 billion Ghana cedi deposits growth, FDA trains disease surveillance officers on food safety, and of course the story about stop politicizing Bawku crisis from the Chieftaincy Ministry is also here. That's it for me.
Well, this comes through from our very own Samuel Dame, and I'm going to do it. Happy birthday, Jennifer Dubik Kwache. Jennifer Dubik Kwache, on your first birthday. It's from your parents, Mark and Hetty, your godparents, Samuel Dubik Mahama, and Charlene, your sisters, Naomi and Amanda. We love you, and may you continue to be a blessing to all of us. So from the former ECG boss, from your parents as well, happy birthday to you, Jennifer Dubik Kwache. You are one today. That's interesting. Life, eh? Anyway, would you like to? Thank
you so much, Dr. Kwame Asasante, political scientist and head of European Studies at the University of Ghana. All right, folks, stay for sports. Coming up next, Mufta Nabil Abdullah is standing by to serve you.